Hello everybody, welcome back. Vinyl update time again. Before I get into any records, I want to give a shout out to somebody that I'm linked up with on Instagram. They're called Rocking of the 5000. I think they have a big cartel site where they sell t-shirts and stuff and record kind of paraphernalia. Very generously sent me this t-shirt as well as this Peter Tosh design here. They're kind of reggae focused. Peter Tosh and a cool little wood sign here, Dub Militant. Rocking of the 5000, completely unsolicited, sent me this stuff. Thank you very much, guys. I'm blown away by your generosity. I will be rocking these in the summer. Getting into a couple of CDs, why not? I found this James Brown box set the other day at the thrift store. 4-disc box set called Star Time from 1991. Kind of the heyday of the big box set. Excellent condition except for a little coverware. $5 or $6 at the thrift store. Can't pass that up. Usually when I find box sets there, for some reason they split them all up into the single discs and no box, no booklet or anything. So nice to find it complete. I've been listening to this CD find quite a bit lately. John Prine, self-titled debut from I think 1971 originally came out. I remember finding this LP in the thrift store a few years ago and I didn't buy it, thinking it was just some country kind of thing, which it is. Kind of traditional country, a little bit of honky-tonk, a little bit of folk in there. But what this has got is a lot of storytelling, like classic country is kind of known for its storytelling. I find a lot of the modern stuff, just they go so overboard on it, it gets so saccharine, it kind of makes my skin crawl. But this guy is the real deal. A lot of sad stories on here of traumatized, drug-addicted veterans, lonely middle-aged married couples, that kind of thing. And a lot of sly humor on here too. Like your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. It's already overcrowded from your dirty little war. It's almost kind of the antithesis of Merle Haggard's Okie from Muskogee. So very cool album there. Pretty well every song on there is good. Getting into a few more thrifty finds. I was super stoked to find this one. John Renbourn, Pharaoh Annie. Year on there, early 70s I'm sure. Reprise label. Got a few little light scratches, but it plays well. Very bluesy, very bit of Americana on there. Awesome album. Only second or third one I've got by him now, I think. And I found these 3 or 4 records right here, all from at the same time, all obviously from the same collection. Most of them have initials on the back, IB. And this was another one in that set, obviously from the same previous owner, Randy Newman, Good Old Boys. I think this is only my second one by him. I know James Griffiths has done a series of hunting Randy Newman in the wild. Absolutely a savage kind of, I would say, socio-political commentary on here, kind of criticizing the culture of the Deep South, particularly in regards to race relations. With the title, the track Rednecks is, I don't even know if that could be recorded nowadays. It's controversial to say the least. Definitely a lot of sarcasm going on in there. This was not from the same collection, but kind of on a similar rootsy kind of tip. You can see the theme with these records with the IB initials, all from the kind of a rootsy, folky kind of tradition of record. But this one, I'm going to digress. It is Eric and Martha Nagler, Right and Proper Dwelling. It's a Canadian one. It's one I'd never heard of. It's not even on Discogs. Found this in the cheap bins of one of my local record stores. See the back there? You can tell it's going to be kind of a rustic folk, which indeed it is. Got a bit of Celtic flavored songs on there as well. The two of them were a married couple. They were Americans who went to Canada to avoid the draft in the late 60s, early 70s. She was actually from a folk family group, kind of in the style of the Carter family. They linked up with Bruce Cockburn, who actually produced this album. And actually what caught my eye on here was Daniel Lanois. was the engineer prior to his work with U2, of course. So yeah, just woodsy, rustic folk with Celtic overtones. Getting back to the IB records, last one I'll show you here. Jesse Winchester, had never heard this one before. Name sort of rang a bell, but didn't really know too much about it. And what caught my eye on here was produced by Robbie Robertson with in what seems an incongruous combination. It's engineered by Todd Rundgren, who I associate more with kind of prog, a bit of punk. But this is that same kind of the band style, rustic rock and roll, folky, Canadian pressing on Ampex. And Robbie Robertson is on here on guitar, and Levon Helm is on drums and mandolin, both from the band, of course. Apparently Jesse was a bit of a protege of Robbie Robertson, and he was also an American who relocated to Canada in the late 60s to avoid service in Vietnam. And interestingly, those 3 IB records, the same record store, which is many miles away where I found that Eric and Martha Nagler, there was a record with the IB on the back in there, miles and miles apart. Getting into some other finds, found this one, Steve Hillage. This was actually an antique mall find, very cheap. 1976 on the iconic green Virgin label. This was very cheap. Slight bit of ring wear. Vinyl looks unplayed on this one. He was kind of associated with the Canterbury scene. This is sort of, I would say, progressive, fusion-y guitar. There's some, I would say, some glam elements in here as well. A lot of covers of Donovan's Hurdy-Gurdy Man, given kind of extended instrumental workouts. A bit of Eastern mystical influence on here with Om Namah Shivaya. Cover of the Beatles' It's All Too Much. Which, not one of George Harrison's more referenced songs, but struck me how good that is. Another thrift find, Livingston Taylor. He is James Taylor's brother. Capricorn Records. 1973 on this one. Very similar sound, that kind of laid-back, mellow James Taylor singer-songwriter sound. You could almost mistake that record for James Taylor, but very nice, mellow listen. Another record store cheap bin find, War, All Day Music. Low-riding West Coast funk. This has got the great Slipping Into Darkness on it. Baby Brother, great funk. Heard a lot about these guys, but never checked out any of their records yet. Got the Stephen Stills solo albums, but Manassas, Down the Road. Guess this is their second one. Great rock and roll album. Great sound on this too, very dynamic. Some of those tricolor early 70s Atlantic labels have been hit and miss for me, but this one sounds great. It's still in shrink. Great Latin rock on here as well. With, who we got on here? Joe Lala, Congas, Timbales. Yeah, excellent album. This one I'd kind of been wanting to pick up, hadn't really gotten around to it. Found it already in the just arrived, new arrival secondhand bins. First Aid Kit, probably pretty well known by now. Two sisters from Scandinavia. Their sound's very much rooted in that kind of country rock, cosmic cowboy sound of the late 60s, early 70s. Very nice album from them, brand new release, Ruins. Another antique store find, very nice condition, Impulse label, can't pass that up. It was priced at $10, actually got it for $5, excellent condition. On the classic Impulse label. Chico Hamilton, don't have anything by him in my collection. Some great kind of Latin influenced tunes on here. She's got Gabor Szabo on guitar as well as Larry Coryell. I think it might be Larry Coryell's first jazz oriented track on here called Larry of Arabia. And it's even got the Impulse inner sleeve still on there. All the other records, A Love Supreme. What a one that would be to own. Maybe one day. And a couple more jazz finds, or one more anyway at least. Found this in the cheap bins of a local record store. Leon Thomas, Spirits Known and None Unknown. He's a vocalist, got kind of a strange yodeling kind of vocal style. Doesn't kind of let loose on this one a whole lot. His back cover images are just cool. Heavily politically influenced on here. Got his version of The Creator Has a Master Plan, which I think was also done with Pharoah Sanders. Ode to Malcolm X called Malcolm's Gone, and anti-Vietnam tune on there as well. So heavily social, political influenced. I think 1969 this came out, very much in the vibes of the time. Couple of reggae finds to round things out. One mail order one right here. It's a 12-inch single. You got the Island disco sleeve there. 45 RPM 12-inch single on the Island label. This is 1978. Absolute classic double-sider from reggae harmony group The Meditations. Got an old sticker on this side of the label. Life is Not Easy, backed with Much Smarter, both in extended mixes. The Meditations were one of those classic Jamaican harmony groups. Did a lot of backing vocals at Lee Perry's Black Ark studio, which is where these tracks were recorded. One side was self-produced, the other side was produced by Lee Perry. First heard both of those songs on this compilation, the Essential, Beyond Essential Lee Scratch Perry Collection Arcology, which came out in 1997. Can't believe it. 21 years ago. Still remember traveling downtown on the train to go buy this, the old Virgin Megastore. Mind blower. Last couple finds, another reggae one. Found this in new arrivals bin of a local store. Dennis Brown, Words of Wisdom. Already have this on the UK pressing on Laser, which has a different cover image, kind of more well known, I guess. This is a US pressing from 1981 on Joe Gibbs. I think it was originally released in 1979. Classic hit. Got his Money in My Pocket, one of his biggest tunes, which hit the UK pop charts. And last up for today, this is a Record Store Day release, came out for the last Record Store Day. It's another collection of Studio One rarities called Bongo Man, the Studio One collection. And I did have a Studio One single I was going to show. Where did I put it? Ah, here it is right here. Just for comparison, here's an original Bongo Man single, which was one of the sub-labels of Studio One. That's the great Horace Andy with his classic Skylarking. But this is a collection focused on the Bongo Man label. Again, all these reggae producers would have different labels. It was very tough to get airplay, especially if you had too much product, so they would create different labels to kind of do a bit of a shell game. People wouldn't know whose production it was. They might get more airplay. But classic collection of rarities on here. These would set you back many hundreds of dollars if you could even find all of them. Some of them appearing on LP for the first time. Great liner notes by Chris Wilson, formerly of Heartbeat Records. And this is a double LP pressing on this awesome red, gold, and green vinyl. Kind of reminding me of a frozen popsicle or frozen treat of some sort as the summer weather rolls on. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. As always, hope everybody's doing well out there. Take care and cheers.